Hello everybody and welcome back again the second time because the first time it crashed. It happens. Welcome to F6. My name as per usual is Mr. Evil Dragon. I again don't have a co-coms because they were unavailable this week, we believe. So welcome along to everyone to Paul Ricard in good old sunny France, where the answer is, will it be sunny when we get into qualifying? The answer to that will be a grand total of, let's find out in around about 2 seconds time when we get underway. So the question is it going to be nice and sunny on the grid, or is it going to be a little bit of a damp spirit? Well, it's going to be sunny for the time being here on this sunny afternoon in Paul Ricard. Then we have 19 of our fine drivers on circuit. Now, of course, last week we had a spectacular race at Bahrain. The question, of course, is this week, where does the pecking order lie? Who is going to be improving? Can Ferrari come back after their relatively downward trajectory last week? Can we see some more winners this season as well? Of course, only the second race, so we most certainly have a long way to go. And of course, last week we saw Tom take victory around the circuit here in Bahrain. This week, of course, we're going to be seeing quite a few more new drivers coming in. And of course, Tom being last week a reserve. Of course, Tom, I believe, is not here. Indeed, no, he is there. He's 13th position. There he is. Find him eventually down in 13th position. Of course, Nino in second, Shabby in third. Mika was fourth last week. Of course, meaning that, of course, Tom leads the championship. In terms of the constructors' battles, Williams does lead the constructors from Alfa Romeo. Following suit then with Red Bull. A big gap between all the drivers. 12 points for Williams, only 5 for Alfa Romeo last week. So a very stark contrast between both of the manufacturers. Right now, we have circuits, well, we have cars on circuits, shall we say, not circuits on the cars. Well, we could get both, I suppose. Depends which way you want to float the bubble. But let's ride on board then with the Aston Martin of Matt, who has been having a bit of a quiet season the first couple of race, well, first race, hoping to get more of a bounce as we come into this second race. As you come around the last corner, around this circuit, it's first hosted a race all the way back in the 1980s. This layout, of course, most famous for testing. Pretty much one of these circuits that quite a lot of people, they don't tend to like. I personally do like this circuit sometimes. I'll tell you what, though, who's not enjoying this circuit is Matt Tibos. He's going spinning around at turn number 1. And he must be getting himself back going there. As past the the Alpine, shall we say, that passing now. What one is it? Is that going to be? It's going to be Morgan passing in that Alpine in an 18th position so far. Right on board then with, let's see, we're going right on board with Sybig, who's just starting his lap time in the Williams. Down to turn 1, break down into 6th, 5th, 4th gear then. Chuck it into the right hand, let the car settle over those curbs. He gets it invalidated straight away then, so we're on board then with someone coming through the back end of the circuit. On board with Virus then. That's coming out of scenes then down into this really little tricky complex left. And then right and then left towards the last corner we come. And then to this little kind of flowing right. Build up the speed limit, 170 miles an hour down into the braking zone. 4th gear into the penultimate corner, then down into 3rd, into 2nd, into the last corner. Let the car run out wide, then blast it all the way to the start line. And let's see where he can go. Well, he goes up to P2 so far, as out on the pit comes one of the Ferraris then. So, Tamo, he's currently on a lap time in the number 69 Alfa Romeo. Let's see. And again, you can see the rear end stepping out in turn number 1. And it seems to be a common friend here. Well, turn number 1/2, I suppose, the more accurate term there. But already providing some drivers struggling ever so slightly on the rear end. But again, he gets it all nice and hooked up through down towards the Mistral straight then. 1, 2, 3 cars up the road, but that won't bother him too much. It was like one of the Alpines there as Rowan goes up to P1 so far, with 127.472, puts him a couple of attempts ahead of Mecca in second, and Virus so far in third position on the exit of that down to the second part of the Mistral Straight, and then down into Shing's corner. Then this corner, absolutely, you got to go for it. If you don't, you're losing a lot of time. Through that, looked pretty good. Dent into the long right hand of the front end, stepping out there. Slight bump on the curb for good measure. Again, though, the car just about getting the exit speed. This doesn't look like it is going to be a blindsiding lap time through the last couple of corners, but let's see what he can do. Late on the brakes, and then down into the last corner. The Ferrari just ahead of him as well. Might give him a bit of a distant tow if he's ever so lucky. Does not get one. Cross the line then. And what's it going to be? It's good enough for P5 then on the grid. As up the field there, looks like that was Ben going up to P3. As we now got a few other people improving. Jake up to P5, Borrell up to P6. Tamo in 7th, Harold in 8th, Tibbles in 9th. We're running board with Kelvin right now in the AlphaTauri on that set of medium tyres. So doing the alternative strategy. And let's see how he pays off after this one then. Down to the back end of the circuit, and you can just see the front end ever so slightly trying to wash around the AlphaTauri, but looks pretty good though on the exit. Now, where he's probably aiming here, if he doesn't come into the pit lane straight away, will be around about 8th, 7th position. Well, never mind, because he comes straight into the pit lane then. What about Sheringham then in the other Ferrari then? The other one on medium tyres, apart from... That's, well, the only two on medium tyres. Are they going to finish their laps off? I am wondering. Down through the last corner, lay on the brakes as per usual. These drivers so committed in these last couple of corners around this lap. It's so easy to just snag a brake and go wide. Through the last corner, you can see the rear end again stepping out as he gets himself lined up for another lap. And it is good enough for P10 on the grid then. So he is the slowest of the ones that have so far set a lap time, but he is right in the middle of the pack of everyone else. His teammate, meanwhile, Angel, coming through the chicane. Let's see what he is doing so far. While invalidating his lap time is what he is doing. So we'll have a look at Stroldeus, who is invalidated his lap time as well. So we'll have a look at Morgan, who has not invalidated his lap time so far. He's just coming through the penultimate couple of corners in the Alpine, and he's going slowly because he's ran out of fuel. So we'll try and find someone who is on the lap time. Well, it's not going to be them. And let's see who's currently on the lap. Shall we have a look? Got a few people on their out laps so far. We got Sharam, who should be coming in the pit lane on this lap. We've got the Alfa Romeo currently coming down at the back straight as well of Rosal. Mendes as well. So only a few drivers currently on circuit at this current time. But remember, of course, we've still got well over 10 minutes to go here, and Paul Ricard here for the French Grand Prix. First hosted this race, of course, at Paul Ricard in 2018. Ran in 2019. Did not won last year, of course, due to the pandemic. But, of course, returned in 2021. And, to be honest to it, had an absolute cracker of race with Verstappen getting that penultimate lap pass on Lewis Hamilton, of course. Will we see some drama like this today? Well, we'll be certainly hoping so. Again, through turn 1, 2 we go, and you can see that one of the cars on the right, that looks like one of the Alpines getting right out of the way. Then down in towards turn number, that is turn number 3, 4, 5 and 6. As we're coming through then down towards that second sector split. Past the DRS detection point there. And then it's just all about how much speed you can carry then as you come down here. Putting up to over 200 miles an hour. As you then come then down into the chicane. And you can just see the Hassler looking pretty comfortable so far. Had a relatively good race last week, of course, if I'm not mistaken. Came from the back of the grid to almost have an opportunity to win that as they come through Singh's corner led. And you can just see the pure commitment through there as they come down into that Basulklen. The long flowing right-hander where it's so easy just to drop it there. As they then come into Vincent Den Bundor. These are all French names which I probably mispronouncing, but we'll carry on then as you come into the Garbian then. And then into Village de la Tour, into the penultimate corner, and into Village de Pont, the last corner. And then coming back across the line then from that 15 corner circuit. And it goes P3 so far, side big in P4. Further down the field, Barlow, and then see who's currently on a lap time. Well, coming through the last corner, but invalidated is Angel. We got Shabby coming to the line right now to start his next lap time. His teammate currently in P1. Let's see who's currently coming through the last couple of corners then. Got Harold coming through turn 5 and 6. So we're on board then with Kelvin. Through he comes then in towards turn 13. Then this looks pretty good so far then for the AlphaTauri driver, who is currently, of course, in that P14 position. Kelvin though crosses the line. Where's he going to end up slotting himself into? It's P10 then for Kelvin in the AlphaTauri. Of course, 12 in the standings after the first race. Hoping to get a bit of better and hoping to score some points, of course. Remember, as per usual, only the top 10 score points. Remember, 16 points for P1, 12 for P2, and 10 for P3. And then it's 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then the rest is 0, of course. Remember, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 retirements last week. That was Jake, Dirtamo, that was Pop, and Ollie, who all DNF'd as well. And of course, we had a few DNFs as well. Of course, the 27 laps plus for the reserve drivers we have. As Shabby, meanwhile, in the McLaren, goes up to P1 in the meantime then. So, McLaren 1-2 so far. As Rowan goes, you know what, sunshine, I want that P1, and takes it straight back then. So, swapping and swerving up front between the both of the McLarens. Let's see if anyone else can spring a trap then. So far, well, it's not going to be the Alpine then of Tom. He's currently run out of field. We've got Jay coming across the line in 9, Borrell in the pits, Kelvin coming in the pits. We've got a few other people crossing the line right there, improving. Track Formula is on an invalidated lap. So what about, the question is, can the Mercedes driver of Strong Dudes do? Well, he's currently coming through the last couple of corners. Then into the last corner. Build the revs up, build the speed up. DRS activated, and across the line he goes. Can he get himself above P19? Well, certainly he will. He'll go P11 on the grid. Just behind, of course, the Alfa Romeo, the Aston Martin. There's too many A's in Formula 1 today, and I'm using all the wrong analogies for them. The Aston Martin in P10. As he then breaks it down, he's currently, I think, coming on a in lap. To be the pardon. Jake, meanwhile, in P12 is on an improved lap, but is invalidated. Only 0.26 of a second separates first and second position. 3 tenths down to third, then another 10 thousandths down to fourth. So real close battle between third, fourth, fifth position, sixth position as well, all separated by under half a tenth of a second. Tom down in 7th, just slightly ahead of Morgan in 8th, of Saibig rounding up in 9th, and Matt in 10th. Close battle between Stock Dudes and Jake in 11th and 12th respectively. Behind them, Borrell, Kelvin, and then we've got Harold, Sheringham, and Track Formula. Bring up the rear, of course, we've got Wazzy and Angel, who of course had a torrid race last week. As he also now crosses the line to start his lap time. Then as he comes down towards turn number 1, 5th, 4th gear led down into there. Build the revs back up to 5th. and then go all the way up to 6th, 7th, and maybe if you're just brave enough, we'll be touching 8th gear. Revs out in 7th, then get all those revs back down to 3rd gear, bring the car to the left, and then flick it right then in towards turn 5 and 6th. Rear end though decides he doesn't want part of that. Still fighting it, even more fighting it then. Now onto the back straight, then down onto the Mistral. And it looks like he might have lost a little bit of time right there, to be perfectly honest. As Harold has retired in the pit lane, he is happy with his qualifying then in 15th. There's the Ferrari then, wiggles its way all the way up then, down towards Sheens then. The question is, how much time can he find then on this lap despite those mistakes? It looked pretty good in the first couple of corners, didn't look good for a few. Now he's back on it all over again, then down in towards the back end of this circuit, then down in towards 12, 13 and 14. And completely off the road, and that, you must say, invalidating his lap time by quite a way there. He comes into the pit lane, so he was most certainly not happy with that one. Sharon, I believe, will be next to cross the line. Or it might be Wazzy actually next to cross the line to start his next flying lap length. So we'll go run on board then. Well, we'll go for a little onboard sound then, or an outboard sound of the Alfa Romeo. The number 2 then down towards turn number 1. And the sound of these Formula 1 cars, electric. Sharon now also begins his last flying lap of this afternoon's qualifying. And let's see where he can get then. The number 27 then, of course, after those two famous number 27s in Formula 1, John Alesi, and of course the legendary Gilles Villeneuve then. The tragic, of course, passed in 1982 at Zolder. Since then, Ferrari really didn't change that number, of course, until they improved their seasons and won the championship. And here we go, Sharon then down into the chicane. Ren slightly stepping out there on the Ferrari, but it looks all good so far. Then down towards Sheen's corner. And let's see then, what can the Scuderia do? Flat through here, as you'd imagine, 183 miles an hour on the exit. And then put it down to about 5th gear then. Down into the back of the circuit and down into 13, 14 and 15. And the Ferrari looks very planted indeed. 16th position so far for the lead Ferrari, and ideally wants to be trying to take maybe a second off in his lap time. The question is, has he got a second in his lap time with 20 seconds to spare in qualifying? Well, no, most certainly not, because he's invalidated it on the line. The question is, what would it have been? It would have been a 1:30, so I don't think it would have improved no matter what he would have done. It's next across the line, I believe it might be one of the Red Bulls of Ben then for the last corner. Let's see where he can go. Currently P6 on the order. Crosses the line then, and he will go P3 on the order then. So, who's next across the line then? Well, it looks like it might be one of the Alfa... It might be one of the Alpines potentially, or one of the Alfa Romeos. I'm right on board with this Alpine. Then we've got one Mercedes and I think both the Alfa Tauris just up the road as well as they cross the line. Let's see if they improve. Tom, your current championship leader through the last corner. Let's see where he can go. Can he get it back onto the front row of the grid? So far P7th. Crosses the line. Goes good enough for P4 then at the time being. Who else on a lap time? As you see the order slightly shaking up. Mika up to P2 then in the other Alpine. Tamo through the last couple of corners. He looks like he's not a lap time. Is Rowan. P1 then. That's pretty much confirmed it where he will start. Unless we see any other surprises then. Doesn't look like it's going to be from Stoldu. So unless it's Tamo is going to do one, which he's not because he's invalidated as well. And is only good enough for P9 on the grid. So that will mean that Rowan gets pole position from Mika in P2 in the Williams. My apologies there. Shabby in P3 from Tom in P4 in the Alpine. Ben in P5 in the Red Bull. Then it is Alpine P6. In P7 as well. Virus in P8. Dotamo in P9 from Borrow, Jake, Matt, Stoldu's Kevin, Wazzy, Harold in P16, Sharon in P70, Trap Formula in 18th, and Angel again in 19th. Ferrari not having a good start to this season in qualifying. So confirmed then, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4 for the Dutch drivers then. Rowan, Mika, Shabby and Tom. Your top 4 then from Ben in P5, Sybig in P6, Morgan from Virus, Tamo from Borrell, then Jake and Matt of course in 11th and 12th. Behind them of course, Stroldus, Kelvin, Wazzle, Harold and Sharon. Trapped Formula and Angel bringing up that red. Did not set a lap time interestingly. Sharon's best lap time on a set of mediums as well. So Ferrari have it all to work as well. Red Bull have it all to work as well. But we have a race on our hands and then we got to be seeing what is that weather going to be doing. And Tom apparently has disconnected then. So that could be interesting indeed. He has most certainly disconnected. We'll find out in due course then. A nice sunny condition so far then over the French Riviera then. Here we're just a slight little bit off the coast then here in Paul Ricard. And you got to say, one of the, can't argue with it, a very pretty circuit indeed. In the old Le Castellet. So I just wonder if we have got that disconnection then, or is he going to get back in the session? Oh, yeah, Tom has left. You can see the ghosting Alpine then. So far as we get underway here on our formation lap then, Rowan, Mika, Shabby, Tom, who is now going to be very much hoping he can get himself back in this session as soon as he possibly can. Otherwise, we could have a long afternoon for them indeed. Ben in P5, Sybig in P6, Morgan just behind in P7. But all eyes so far on McLaren. First and third, Mika splitting them in the Williams then. And looks like we might be getting a potential restart. Maybe. That is the word in the general chat. Let's see then if we do get a restarted grid. Meanwhile, Rowan will lead this field to the grid for what could be the race start. Of course, we'll have to find out in just a few moments' time. Remember, McLaren so far, Rowan P16 in the standing, 0 points. His teammate of course, also on 0 points. We've also got Shabby, who is reserve on that 10 points as well, hoping to continue that running order as well. Here we go then, getting on to the grid. McLaren on the left, Williams on the right, and looks like we will be having a late aborted start. Potentially, that's the word from the chat I'm seeing there. We will potentially be having the aborted start straight away then, as I get all of the telemetry up on our screen. So, and there we are then, aborted start. So everyone will presumably get themselves readying up, but we'll be having a new lobby straight away then. You can see, stuck on the grid. Meaning we do all have to leave the session then, which is unfortunate. And slight technical difficulties right there. And just as we just wait just a few moments then for this, we'll just go through the standings, of course, from last week. All of the standings and absolutely everything yet again. And don't forget, by the way, if you are new here, to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell to keep up to date of all of PSGL's races. Of course, we have F2 and F1, I believe, just going on the current timer of Luke and Alamonda so far. So don't forget to go and check them out if you want, of course. But in terms of the standings, of course, Tom, of course, winning last week from Nino and Shabby. Mika in 4th ahead of Ben, Wazzy and Harry, Trap Formula and Matt Tibos. And then, of course, Harold, that was your top 10 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people not scoring. Of course, that being Sherem, Kelvin, Cybig, Angel, Stoldolt, Rowan, and Jake. Of course, we had Tamo, Poxy and Ollie all DNFing last time out as well. Constructors, remember, Williams lead it away from Alfa Romeo, Red Bull, Aston Martin, Haas, Mercedes, McLaren, Ferrari, Alpine and Alpha Tauri. The gap so far, 7 points between first and second in that standings, as I wait to see the lobby getting remade in just a few moments time. So do hold with us as we wait for that one. As we just get ready to go in just a few moments time, as I just accept 1 or 2 little friend requests to make me get into the lobby. Looks like it just had a few technical glitches right there. We'll be back into it then. So it will be set on grid. Hopefully they have the grid results already from last moment. But we're back in the lobby, and that is the crucial thing. The game has not decided to murder me, which is always lovely to see. Well, my PlayStation, I might say, is having some technical difficulties the last couple of days. But nonetheless, we should be getting back underway. And don't forget, by the way, chat, how have you all been enjoying your day as well? Hopefully you had a beautiful one. And let me know, of course, what you have thought of the first race and the second qualifying, might we say, of this season. Who do you think is your money on to win this race? And we're just waiting for everyone to jump. I've got half of the lobby in so far. And we all should be getting the second half in just a few moments' time. Whilst we're here, we might as well talk about this circuit, of course. First hosted a race back in 1970, of course, on a very similar layout, apart from just some minor little altercations, of course, that being there wasn't a chicane down the back of the circuit, and it was slightly less tighter indeed, of course, and since then it has undergone quite a few changes, of course, with many layouts of this circuit. Some say you can get up to about 80 versions of this track, which is a lot. And of course, we remember some classic moments in F1, and remember 1990, if I'm not mistaken, we had a massive start crash back there. And of course, 2018 and 2019 was very dramatic races for some reason. Sebastian Vettel hitting Valtteri Bottas and all sorts of melee in 2018. That one, of course, in 2020, as mentioned earlier, we saw Max Verstappen, 2021, I say, Max Verstappen winning on the penultimate lap of that race from Mr. Lewis Hamilton. But as we just get the last couple of drivers in, I think we've now got 17 of the drivers in the order. We'll presumably be setting the grid in just a few seconds. As we're waiting for, I believe, 1 or 2 drivers more. Waiting for just one more driver to get into the lobby. Then we shall be setting the grid up, and then we will be getting our 27 laps of Paul Ricard underway. The circuit, of course, 3.5 miles around here, or 5.7 odd kilometers around the Paul Ricard circuit. 27 laps as well, so a long race, a lot of action still to come, so don't be ready, and we'll get soon underway. Meanwhile, Tom, he's still hoping that he's back in the lobby. That's the crucial thing then. And he is hoping to get himself up the order again. He will be starting P4 or 5, if I'm not too mistaken. And we most certainly starting up the front. At least he gets a second wind of life this afternoon. As we are just waiting for the grid to be set. And then we should be underway. And that is the crucial thing, should be underway in just a few moments' time. As Wazzle readied up, it's waiting, of course, for FER Burrell to ready up. And then, of course, we will be getting into this lobby. He's just, I believe, setting the grid up in the background still so far. So just waiting for the last couple of moments as Sherham's gone into the spectator menu right there. I think he wasn't meant to do that, but he should be changing back into that Ferrari in just a few moments' time, I shall imagine. Unless he wants to join me in the commentary box, which is always be quite not interesting. As he gets himself back in the Ferrari. And I believe that should be the grid almost certainly set up then. I think one or two people getting ready to go. I think everyone's slightly getting a little bit wondering, are we going to get this race underway? Well, the answer to that should be yes, there we go. Host readied up. So that means now, without question, we will now be getting this race underway after nearly 30 minutes of waiting. Well, 20 minutes of waiting for the lobby to get back set. We will have a race underway. Then 15 seconds to go. Nice sunshine here, presumably, yet again in Paul Ricard. Will it rain again? Who knows? It might be sunny. I hope it'll be sunny. We'd like a nice sunny race to go around this afternoon here in Paul Ricard. Of course, we do just say sorry for any technical difficulties we are having. And of course, just letting you know, I'm still not used to doing solo comms. So if I do sound like I pause a lot, it is probably why I pause a lot. Nonetheless, though, the crucial thing, we will be getting this underway just a few moments' time, and then we'll be back on the formation that way we were just some few moments ago before, we'll call it a red flag, aborted start due to disconnect and then issues, but we'll gloss over the past and let's concentrate on this future. McLaren first and third position in between the Mika in second. 4, 5, 6 drivers all eyeing for that victory potentially. Only, of course, one of them can take it. And let's see who is going to be playing the strategic game, who is going to be playing the long game, who is going to be going all balls to that medaling floor and going straight for it then down towards turn 1. We've seen it so often before. It can be decided if you get turn 1 perfectly and then just have enough pace to pull away, you can get very lucky around here indeed. But do let remember, you do need to have the outright pace. And almost after an hour delay, with 0 seconds on the clock, we'll get underway for our formation lap then. So, let's see, and let's hope for some greener and happier pastures this time around. Are we going to get everyone off the grid correctly this time? It looks like we have then. So, let's get the tyres up, and of course, top 10 all should be starting on the soft compound tyres. Apart from Mika on a set of mediums then. So, now I'm pretty certain that he should not be on the mediums, so that could be a slight penalty or something they're coming to Mika's way. And yeah, Mika's been told he has to box on the first lap or it's going to be a disqualification apparently from the lead tier coordinator then. So that very much is very dramatic indeed then. So, second position already in trouble here. And we haven't even got the race underway on the formation map. Well, I haven't seen that for a long time. Everyone else on the grid. One driver, of course, that's Sherham on a set of hard compound tyres. He's going to be going for around about 20 laps, ideally, if all things goes his way. Trapfuller and 18th hoping for a good race, as well as Angel. Both the Ferraris, of course, 0 points so far for the pair of them. But Mika, hopefully he's seen it. Hopefully he knows that he has to box then on the opening lap. And indeed, he's responded that he will be pitting on the opening lap, Len. And you have to wonder, maybe, can he go straight to a set of hard tyres, then try and go to the end? We've seen it before around this circuit. We've seen it especially on the previous games. Personally, I have. You can do a one-stop straight away on that one. It will be very, very bold if he can try it. Might need a safety car or some luck his way. As we just wait then for Angel. The last car then on the back of the grid. Both of the Ferraris, one Red Bull. But up front, it's going to be McLaren versus Ferrari then. 4, 5 red shiny lights. And it's go here in good old France. Good start for Road. Bad start, of course, as you'd imagine there from the medium shot car of the Williams. As round the outside goes Tom then up to P2. Good start for him. He's got a Williams spinning around in the background there. And who is that going round? That must be... Was that Cyber going round? It certainly is. A few cars having issues down the back. We've got one of the Haas's off. Cyber going round. We've also got the Alpha Tauri having an issue as well. Doesn't look like any damage potentially for those 3 cars. But Rowan leads this race then. Already 8 tenths then from Tom. Shabby, there is more yellow flags getting kicked up there. Looks like that's Melina's is off the road as well then. So... both of the Haas's running into trouble straight away then. We've not even got one lap underway, and now off goes the Williams and Mika. My goodness. And they're dropping like flies off this circuit. As now there looks like the inside there, potentially Jake trying to have a look. Can't quite do it there. And it'll be very bold stuff to try it up the inside there on the first lap length of this race. Behind them there you can see the Williams just slithering around, on the Mercedes, might we say, always looking. That's through the last couple of corners we go, but it is of course Rowan leading this race then from Tom. 3rd place from Shabby. Ben in 4th, Borrell in 5th, Tamo in 6th, Morgan from Jake from Stolduch, and then comes Matt, Wazzle, Angel, Trap, Formula, Sherham in 14th position, Kelvin, and then from Cyberg, Harold, Mika in the pit lane for that stop, and I believe, is that a new front nose, or was that a new front nose for the Haas behind? It's the Haas behind with a new front nose then. Another set of medium tyres for him. But Rowan pulled out a 1.4 second lead already then. And he is absolutely going for it already then. Shabby not too far behind, and he is already not looking too shabby so far. He's got himself nearly a second gap on 4th position as well. And now closing. And have a look at the inside into scenes then. It did is. So McLaren then going 1st and 2nd on the 2nd lap here in Paul Ricard then for the French Grand Prix. And that is the exact thing McLaren needed. And let's see if they can hold it then. Oh, big twitch there for Tom. And he somehow catches that one back up there. That could have almighty been off. But he's managed to catch it together. Behind him as well, Ben already opening a 1.4 second gap to Borrell. And then we've got a bit of a train of cars then from really 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th position. And then behind them we've got 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th position all on a nice line. And I tell you what, Sherham not dropping too far off the back on that set of hard compound tyres. Yes, he's behind his teammate, but he is going a lot longer in this race. And that is going to be a crucial subplot to look at, especially if we get a late safety car. Harold getting himself a 3-second time penalty. Meanwhile, down the back, he's currently in 17th position. As Tamo starts to look on the back of Borrell ever so slightly there as he closes up a little bit too early potentially to make a move down the DRS straight. He needs to be around about 3 tenths behind, I reckon. Coming out of the corner, he will easily pass him around there, 4 or 5 tenths. You've got a chance if you get in on the brakes, anything above 6 tenths. Unless they, of course, saving fuel is going to be extremely difficult. The only reason they'll be saving fuel, of course, if they are desperately running low, and that won't be until very later on, of course. Especially on this game, all of the real overtaking is going to be used for the DRS, not, of course, using the fuel management mode, which, of course, you had in all the previous games, of course. Banned last year, of course, and replicated, of course, in this year's game as well. I tell you what, McLaren starting to open up, and I tell you what, so far as well, McLaren starting to close up on McLaren. And that there, Shabby and Rowan. And now let's see, is Shabby going to go and pass his, well, his teammate, for sure, I suppose, for this race. For say, wasn't teammates last week, most certainly might not be going for it this week. Let's see then, McLaren versus McLaren, defending the inside line, a little bit of a block leg, perfectly placed then, between the two McLarens there, and Rowan just holding the line, but here we go, they'll have to cover the inside line, they'll have to cover right, force him the long way around, and then just force him wide, won't be able to do around the outside, now just squeeze him wide, and then just cover the inside of the road, they'll have the opportunity like that, but can't quite do it, as the top two go battle then, here on lap 4, and they've already pulled a 2.5 second advantage nearly already on third position, who is now having issues there, and I think, is that Tom disconnecting? I think it is Tom disconnecting there. So Tom running into issues yet again here in Paul Ricard, unless he's having something else we're not seeing. But it is the top two so far, Linus Stern. And now it's all about, is Shabby going to be aggressive on his teammate? Is Rowan going to be aggressively defending against his rival? There is no team orders, it would seem, here in McLaren. So now the real opportunity is who is going to be going for it. Is Borrell up to 4th, Tamo up to 5th, is there Tom dropping, but here the battle for the lead to the outside. Can he do it the long way round? Yes, he can, then into the lead of the French Grand Prix, but his teammate fight on the exit now. Slipstream using all of the ERS then to the inside then, down into Sheeton corner then, can he get it back? They run side by side then, through they almost touch, through they come then, still going at it then, the two teammates here, and now the outside line, and he's going to be squeezed off the road, and Shabby, he still can't do it. What ding dong of a battle here on that 5 of 27, and these two most certainly have got no team orders to play for. They are just going for it, and look behind us now. We question is, can Ben start closing up, and by howdy will we have a race on our hands. Has Ben there, a 3-second time penalty there for track limits. Now that most certainly will put a spanner in the works for him, because he's now closed that gap down by half a second. These guys continue to battle. And let's see, and we on for round 3 then. DRS activated, a little bit too far back so far. As Rowan leads this field away still from Shabby, Ben, Tamo, Morgan now up to 5th, passing Borrell then in 6th. Is Borrell going to be able to come back low? with the power then of a slipstream. Has he got any opportunity? Is he going to try slither up the inside? No, he's not. Is he going to try slither around the outside? And Shabby leads then. Shabby into the lead. He's passed his teammate. Just as we see there, the battle then for 6th and 7th, and is that into the pit lane straight away? Yes, it is then. Shabby straight into the pit lane. Already, Rowan now back into the lead. And now surely Rowan's going to have to come straight into the pit lane to try and retaliate. Ben in 2nd position. Tamo now up to 3rd. But where is Shabby going to come out of all of this? He should come out, I believe, around about P17. Then he should come out just behind Harold. He'll come out, of course, easily ahead of Mika then in the Williams, who is, of course, had to stop very early on. Now the question is, most crucially, is can Rowan immediately come straight into the box and try anything? Can he try the overcut strategy? We'll find out in just a few moments' time. Meanwhile, Borrell battling with Morgan. Alpine versus Mercedes. Behind them, Mercedes as well. And these two going at it as well. Big treads on the rear end there from Borrell, but he still holds the line. He still holds that position crucially there, as Morgan just now getting under pressure from the other Mercedes. He can have a look up the inside. That's brave. That's very brave. He can do it up the inside. Gets alongside and through. Yes, good move there from Stolduce there, passing Morgan. And now we look then to your race leader. Is he going to come in? No, he is not. Now, let's see. What are we going to do on the strategy then? Are we going to see? Is this a mistake? Could this be costing him more time? Or is this gamble? Because knowing, look, here as Shabby now starts to close up on back, well, you might say not on the back markers, but most certainly out of position drivers of Herald, of course, who stopped earlier on in this race for damage. Borrell there still trying to chase down now with his teammate. Stolduce actually, I think he got past his teammate actually. And that'll be, yeah, we got a pit, and that's Morgan who's pitted actually. My apologies there. So there's a few people start to come in to the pit lane. Rewrite on board then for Borrell. Looking back there, you can see Jake closing up there with the DRS, of course. Double DRS on the pair of them. An opportunity to pass there. I tell you what, who's passing? And that there, the Alfa Romeo passing the Alpine behind them. Track Formula starting to come back into this race ever so slowly after, of course, starting in P18. Coming through, a 3-second time penalty for Harold. Meanwhile, up front, of course, 3 seconds for Ben, 6 and 3 for Morgan and Mika. Real gain out of this race, Stolduce, and in the pits comes Rowan. Now this is crucial. Where is he going to come out compared to his teammate? The gap to the leader was 18 seconds. Of course, closing all the time now. Let's see. Is it enough? Is Shabby going to come at the lead? I believe he should come out to the lead of this race. The question is, how much of the lead will he have? As now McLaren, you can see, exit the pit lane now, and there we go. Back into the lead of this race. Harold there comes ahead of him as well. And now it's all about chasing then. In terms of tyres, that's a set of hards for Rowan, a set of mediums for Shabby. Now, this is going to be interesting. Can Shabby go to the end on those tyres? Is Rowan setting himself up here for potential challenging very much later on if he's got the pace? As now he'll get DRS, and it should be like taking candy from a baby then from Harold, who very much does not put up a fight there, and a slight weave saying thank you very much there for Rowan as he gets past his fellow colleague there. Next up the road, you can just see the gap. Some 3 seconds now between net leader, net second. Current leader, meanwhile, Ben, as he comes into the pit lane as well. And I shall imagine you might be seeing Tamo stopping shortly as well, meaning now that Stolduch will take over the lead of this race. And look behind now as the trainer cars, and here comes the AlphaTauri passes the Alfa Romeo as the Aston Martin closes up with the Alfa Romeo behind, and then the other Red Bull just following suit as well. And all these A's are getting me confused. But nonetheless, Mercedes leads. And now the AlphaTauri in second. And now I'm wondering, was that a lap too long there? Potentially for Tamo. Behind them, you can just see the line of cars. We've got a yellow flag. And will you believe it? That's Stolduch off. The man who just took the lead of the race has dropped it straight away onto the Mistral straight, and front wing gone. And that is very much not what he wanted to be doing there. As passing now on the inside of Matt Tibos onto Tamo. And Tamo now just dropping back down the order. Those tyres look like they're going off the cliff. Now his teammate coming up to pass him as well. And we've got more cars going off there. And that looks like the chicane. Someone else having an issue. And I'm wondering, was that potentially a Red Bull there of Ben having a mistake? As now into the pit lane, there goes to Tamo then. So now taking the lead of this race, Jake of course. Mad now in third, behind them battling away here. We've got Red Bull and Alfa Romeo. Trap Formula trying to come through then and try and seize the opportunity he is most certainly looking for to get up the order. And as things stand so far, Shabby and Rowan, Linus Stern, gap between them around about 2.5 seconds there. Sorry, say 3.7 seconds between them. My apologies. As now Red Bull then closing up to Wozzle. Has Wozzle got DRS from the car ahead of Matt? Yes, he has. The question is the DRS holding him by enough? Just about for the time being. As closing up the Red Bull now still continues the charge. Slight twist there on the rear of Wozzle, but still holds the line. The gap up front closing up now 0.6 of a second. And Sherham up to 5th position so far, and that set of hard compound tyres, hoping for a late safety car, we believe. He will have Kelvin closing up behind him all the time. As we see, there is Kelvin and Sheringham battling away. Angel in 7th. Shabby now closing up to the back of the one-winged Angel. It is Mr. Shabby who is most certainly going for it. As there in the pit comes Matt Tibos. And I tell you what, Rowan really not closing in by enough so far. Hold it! Now that was almost Mecca going off straight into the wall there. And he's just about caught that one, hasn't he? That curve providing a real surprise there for some of the drivers. Trap Formula, meanwhile, blasts his way past Wozzle then into, well, what so far is P2. We got yellow flags, and that is Mecca retiring into the pit lane, qualified on the front row. Got the wrong tyre on, of course. Had to stop early, and unfortunately for him, a series of unfortunate issues and mishaps. He is now out of this race, of course. He's peeled it off. That's a real shame. Saibig in for a 3-second time penalty as well. The penalty starts stacking up front. Trap Formula though, closing on Jake ever so slightly. Wazzle not holding too far back. Gap behind them, Sheringham. Then Kelvin, then comes Shabby. And then Rowan, who is just still dropping more and more and more. So he is most certainly hoping now that the tyres of Shabby goes off, or he has an issue of some description, because that gap is rocketing up. Half a second here, half a second there. As they're on the inside, Kelvin passing Sherham. That there, the battle for 4th position. And the AlphaTauri, you could see it coming lap after lap, of course. Sherham on old hard tyres. Kelvin also, to be fair, on hard medium tyres. But the gap and the delta between the pair of them just seemed like it was going to be eventual with the DRS as well. But still a long race to go. Sherham's still got a shot back at this. He's going the long strategy, of course. Will be going to right about lap 20, we believe. Setting on a set of soft tyres and then going straight to the end of this race. We are, of course, on lap 13. We are just coming to the midway point of this race now. As up front, it is AlphaTauri leading Red Bull, leading Alfa Romeo, of course. That not fully net lead of this race. Remember, the net lead is Shabby Rowan, of course. We can get up the stops, of course, and you can see everyone apart from Harold, who I believe has just come in the pit lane potentially. That's Virus coming to the pit lane. Everyone pretty much has done their one stop, apart from the top 5 and, of course, 12th position. And here we are then, on board with Shabby, closing up onto the back of Sherham, who's closing up the back of Kelvin. And this now really is just a bit where you just take it cautiously. Just know where to place the car. Just know not to do that, most certainly. And that is not what you want to be doing there. And now just wait for it. Don't try something you won't regret. And now he's going to go for the inside straight away. Sherham lets him through. Doesn't want to fight it too heavily there. Now he has to just dispatch of Kelvin. And that will be up another position as well. And here we are then, passing now Kelvin for what is now going to be 4th position. Again, not defending super hard there for the AlphaTauri. And now behind them, Sherham also now looking like he wants a challenge again. Next up will be Rowan. He is some 4 seconds down the line now, and almost, to be honest, now nearly 5 seconds, all things considered. Next up now for Shabby will be Wazzle, Trap and Jake. With the half the race now gone, with just under half the race still to go. We're on lap 15 of 27. With now Jake getting overtaken, and oh, he's gone round. Now how's that happened? Was he tapped? I don't think he was there. That's very interesting spinning there. That just looked like he got an auto spin. Didn't look like any contact from behind. Unless he got on the curb and got bounced. I've not seen that round Paul Ricard. I've seen it around Spain. Most certainly not Paul Ricard. And now Jake there, under pressure, and most certainly now being overtaken around the outside. He could try what he liked, but that deal has been done from that spin earlier on. And I wouldn't be surprised seeing Jake peel straight into the pit lane. Yes, he is going to peel straight into the pit lane. So is Kelvin and Order. That's not what they want to do. Both the AlphaTauris stopping straight away there. Whether they knew that or not is going to be a different question. But that is most certainly going to hold one of them up for around about 6, 7, 8 seconds. That's going to drop Kelvin right down the order. And a set of soft tyres for the pair of them. They're going to the end of this race. As order still stands, though, Trap Formula leads this race from Wazzle, Shabby in third, Sharon from Rowan, Ben from Tamu, Burrell and Morgan in ninth position, Tom in the other Alpine there in 10th, and presumably going to be overtaking his teammate, I imagine, just a few moments' time. Indeed, there we go. Not holding each other up there. They're both Alpines. On the road now, Burrell de Tomo. As we'll look again at the penalty situation. 9 for Virus. 3 for 13th there, down to 17th. As Sybig a 3-second time penalty as well. Ten laps to go as in now comes Trap Formula. In from second position. That now puts Shabby back up onto that position. Now I'm still wondering, how has this strategy going to pay out long term for Rowan on that set of hard tyres? Should he have tried to go on a set of medium, try and close that gap up because he did pit 2 laps later? Or is he gambling on Shabby running into an issue late on? Or does he know something that we don't? Because to me, so far, it looks like Rowan is just rather thrown out the opportunity he has at winning this race well and truly away, unless we get a late safety car, in which case everyone will be going for a mad sprint for the last couple of laps on a set of soft compound. The Red Bulls, of course. And we imagine the top 2 coming in potentially in the next, well, especially Wazzle, might I say, in the next couple of laps. Maybe not even this lap, I'd imagine. Get that set of tyres on. No, they're getting caught rapidly from the car behind. I tell you what, who is doing a good race so far. If these tyres last, and that's a big if, it is Sharon. Well, never mind. He comes straight in the pit lane as I say that. Now drop him down to, I believe, we should drop him outside the point. A set of soft compound tyres, go attack him to the end. McLaren now second, third. Ben now back up to 4th, will be 3rd later on. And Jake, fastest lap of this second. Then a 1:30.2 for the man who's currently running in 11th position. Won't get a fastest lap point where he is standing, of course. Needs to overtake a few drivers up the road, and he's got to find 4 seconds. He's got to now the guy up the road there. From that you can just see a huge train of cars as both of the Alpines there getting now caught by Matt Tibos. And this is slightly becoming a little bit of an awkward situation then for these two. As Cyber gets passed now by Angel Sherham, not too far behind as well. And you never know, there's still opportunity for points there. As passing there, Trap Formula gets past Matt Tibos there on the inside of Sheen's corner. Almost runs back into the back of him there. And now up the road, Morgan and Tom. And this is looking feisty stuff then from Trap Formula. In comes Wazzle then finally from the lead of this race. Relinquishing backlane for Rowan and Shabby. As they're slightly pushing there. A little bit of a bump pass there. Dearest active. Almost touching Tibbs there from left to rear, right and on the outside. Passing down the back, and you can see some cars exiting the pit. Then Trap Formula, the fast lap of this race as he flies past then and up into second position. It might not be long there for Morgan now to get overtaken. Back down another position potentially. As more penalties there come our way there for the top guys. Well, from the back end, I suppose. Ben with that 3-second time penalty from earlier on. Tamo so far in 4th. Yellow flag, that is Virus in the pit lane retiring, as here is Tom getting overtaken by Trap Formula, like taking candy, most certainly, from the baby's pram. And next up the road, Borrell and Dotomo. And I tell you what, this is still not a shot though. We still potentially get a podium shot out of this, you know. Never say never again. Can Trap Formula, from what was second last, get up into the potential podium spots there? Yellow flag sector 1, that is just Virus retiring, and of course he's just parking it down into turn 1. He resided in the pit lane, of course, so here he's decided he wants to retire in a safer position. I suppose it's not really much safer. As Trap Formula continues to set faster and faster lap times. And he is a man most certainly on a mission. Because as things stand, if he continues the pace he is, he will, and most certainly should, catch Ben, at least get rid of 3 second time penalties. And hello to Eclipse in the chat as well. Everyone joining us. Here it goes. Borrell passing the inside there and getting past Tamo there into 4th position. Now the answer is, can he go and challenge, and can Borrell try and close up that gap then? Do we believe it is a 3 second time penalty that he's got? It is a 3 second, but Borrell also on a 3 second time penalty. So who knows what can anything happen? Well, look who is catching, as long as Trap Formula doesn't get a penalty. 7 laps at the pace he's going, surely he can catch all of them. And Shabby into the pit lane. Wowee! And we thought this could be an issue there, and he has had to stop for another set of tyres, and now he's going to go for it now. That strategy from Rowan, going on that set of hard compound, is just going for it now. Rowan has a real shot at it. Ben now in 2nd, Borrell now in 3rd. Now we've got an interesting situation going on here. Trap Formula down in 5th position, challenging for 4th, and now what is really the technical battle for 2nd position. And Shabby, look at him, down in 14th. That's the last thing he wanted. That is gone catastrophically bad for him. And now look at this. Now Tomo coming straight back at him. Now he wants the battle for 3rd. Now they know they've got a chance at it. And now here comes hammering Tom, the battle for 3rd. The battle for 2nd might be on. Rowan's just going to be probably trying to cruise around now for another 7 laps. Should be able to do that one pretty easily. Ben in 2nd. Tamo in 3rd. And now Borrell trying to get past the Trap Formula, licking his paws right now, going, well, I can get 2 for the price of 1 right now. As the old Rita Rover enters the chat there. As Borrell going for it then, it's still on the back of Tamo. 6 and a bit laps to go. And we've still got a ding-donger of a battle here, and Paul Ricard is now with DRS. Is there an opportunity down towards turn number 1? He'll be brave for that one to try it. Knows better of it, knows just to sit behind. But look who is so certainly behind. And that Trap Formula. Closing all the time. DRS active, DRS pulsing through the veins then of the Red Bull. But Borrell now also closing. Is Tamo going to have to cover this one? Let's see, is he close enough to lunge it? Let's see, is he thinking of it? He fought it for a second, 4th second best low. Now is he going to try and get a good exit, then try and do it down in towards scenes? But look who's just sitting there and now just wondering. Let's see, DRS then is not active here, but most certainly DRS could be an opportunity. as their Borrell looks for the inside line. And now Trap Formula just going to have to play the base patient game. Just know where to place this car. Place it and pace it, and then just get them when the opportunity arises. Don't do anything you won't regret, because you've got an opportunity here, Sunshine, for second position if you've got pace, and you can dispatch these two, and these tyres still have opportunity. DRS still active. Still no way through yet, as these two continue to battle there. A little bit wide there for Detamo. Borrell then still trying his absolute best to try and find a way through. He just can't do it. Trap Formula just sitting there, just looking one way to the other. Can he find any ounce of steam in the Red Bull then? Can he give himself any ounce of wings there? We know what they say, if Red Bull gives you wings, well, he needs to get it to get past these two. With now, what, 4 laps to go. And still these two not fighting it as heavily as probably Trap Formula wants. But Trap Formula now using ERS then on the exit of the corner. Now has the inside line then in towards Scenes. And this is going to be brave stuff then. He'll have the outright pace. He has a nose ahead. Slightly it does. Burrow, they almost touched there. And now to the inside. Still can't do it. Now he'll have the inside line though. Chucks one up the inside. Good stuff there. For Trap Formula now. Detamo surely a shitting duck then. Yellow flags behind, and that looks like, who's that having an awful mistake? Was that Matt Tibos going backwards, I wonder? May well have been. Shabby now up to 10th position again. As they're covering the inside very aggressively, you might say, was Morgan. As Tamo now just has to look back and just go, well, and now I've got Trap Formula, now I don't have that DRS buffer to give me a little bit of a buff. Now that third position might be under real pressure, but remember, Trap Formula's tyres will be going off at this stage. They should be able to last 10 laps. We've got somewhat 4 laps to go for 3 laps, so let's see. Should be able to pass him low DRS. I don't think Tamo's going to really be able to defend this one. Decides not to. Knows it's pretty much a fruitless effort to try it. And now can Trap Formula go chase down his teammate for what could potentially be second position. And so far, without shadow of a doubt, my driver of the day. Up what? Let's have a look. Up 15 positions this afternoon. Fighting absolutely as heavy as he can. And that gap, even though you might not get him, it's still been a valiant effort. And now the question is, he just needs to really pull that gap and conserve his tyres to the end of this race. And he will be on for third position. 4th for Detamo. Matt Tibos with a 3-second time penalty. Borrell there getting a little bit bothered and seeing Detamo up the road. Tom closing up slightly. Then we've got Wazzy and Shabby. Both, of course, Shabby probably rearing that earlier decision. He could have won this race had he gone on a set of hards. Maybe he should have been some more circumspect. And Rowan, just what I was presuming might happen, took the lead there because his rival and his teammates' tyres went off. As that passing Shabby up to 7th. Passing Wazzy then now down into 8th position. And I tell you what, gap is slowly closing up from between 2nd and 3rd position, might I say. As Detamo there in 4th, Borrell in 5th position, from Tom in 6th, Shabby now up to 7th after dispatching Wazzy Just a few moments to go now, challenging for Tom, and this time, well, this is a recovery drive and a half, isn't it? And I tell you what, he won't be too far off the back of getting third position if he's got outright pace. We've got 1 lap to go. After this one, of course. As they're now passing up to now 6th position. Next target, can he get 5th or 4th position out of this? I tell you what, this is going to spice up the constructors as well after this. Williams not scoring much points. They're down in what? 13th, so no points for them. Mika out of this race. But up front, who's pretty much just been doing his own business, just been cruising now since, of course, his teammate had to pit for that extra stop. Rowan doing what he needs to do. Did not have a good race last week. Most certainly coming back at it this week. Ben in 2nd, Track Formula 3rd. Gap not closing. I tell you what, though. Track Formula starting to come under pressure, and he's been tabbed. Oh, he's been tabbed twice there. And Tamo there, he might have done a bit of damage to the front wing. And I'm wondering, is Track Formula's tyres going off now? As now here, the inside line then, and again he gets the inside, dives it through. And oh, contact again with Borrell as well in Track Formula's tyres. Might just now be going off. And this is exactly around about, what, 10 laps on the tyres. The tyres are hitting the proverbial cliff, and now what Track Formula just needs to do, just try and stay with him. But can he stay with him? Because look at the gap, it's opening up more and more, and what could it look like for 2nd, now is it even going to be 3rd? Because look, Shabby's not too far behind. He'll have to keep with the DRS and just try and tow himself along for the last, what, half a lap of this race. Meanwhile, Rowan looks like he's got it all in the bag. But here the battle for what is relatively 3rd position, the battle for 5th as well. Really, it's technically also the battle for 4th, because Shabby should get 4th out of this, I believe. But through we come then, in towards the last couple of corners then. Rowan just cruising it then, just doing what he needs to do. Through the last couple of corners, he's got 1 right, 1 left, 1 more right to go after that. And he will cross the line. Ben looks like he's going to get 2nd. But here we are then, through the last corner. On the set of hard tyres, it was the right set of tyres in the right time. McLaren then to the top step of the podium. Rowan wins then in front. Ben is going to cross the line in 2nd, but who is going to get 3rd position? It's going to be Track Formula, only by a few thousandths, I believe, as across the line. Backwards he goes. I believe, unless, did he get a penalty there? Shabby there in 5th. But I believe they were on penalties. It was penalties there for Ben. He did get a penalty there, I'm pretty certain. Track Formula, Shabby, Wazzy, Borrell there, Tom, Matt, Morgan, Engelwood, just waiting for Herald now to cross the line at the back of the order. And I tell you what, Track Formula, boy dowdy did he have a great race recovery drive, up 15, 16 positions, right to the death of it. And indeed, Track Formula, driver of the day, can't argue with that one. McLaren though, on top step of that podium. From Red Bull, and of course the Alfa Romeo in 3rd position. Of course, congratulations to your winner of this afternoon, Rowan from Ben. Tamo there in 3rd. Track Formula in 4th position then. So, the Tamo got that then in the end. was pretty certain it must have been almightily close then. And yes, Ben did get it shabby in 5th. Rozzy ahead of Burrell. Tom ahead of Matt. Morgan in 10th. Angel from Sherham. Sybig, Jake, Calvin Stolduch, Harold and Viras and Mika in 19th position. But final words from me. What a great race you've had here in Paul Ricard. Hopefully, potentially next week, I might be getting a co-com on board. I do hope so, because doing solo comms does make me very whirly indeed, I must say. But I have been evil. Until next time, take care here from Paul Ricard. Until next time, goodbye.